and we give and give and give early in relationships. I used to be a guy that was a people pleaser. I always said yes to everybody. I didn't know my values, my boundaries, and my worth. We don't need other men putting our brothers down. So I'm gonna give you 5 key principles on how to become the nice guy in order to become that relationship type, not the friend zone type. And what I mean by this is the 5 traits that I give you are typically the exact opposite of right now of what you are truly doing, that you are the nice guy that continues to get in the friend zone. So meaning the 5 principles, the 5 tips, the 5 traits, whatever you want to call them, that I'm giving you in this video today are the tips to get out of the nice guy friend zone into the nice guy relationship mode. But the opposite of what I'm saying, which I'll clarify as I go on, is exactly where you are right now, the nice guy that continues to be in the friend zone. So let's get started. Tip number 1, say what you want. This is so important, men, because at the end of the day, if you want to take the girl out on a date, you've heard me say it before, call it a date. If you want to take her out to dinner, tell her that you want to take her out to dinner. Don't just text her and say, hey, do you want to grab a bite to eat? No, because you're not claiming anything. You're not claiming your approach. You're not making your presence known in this dating or in this relationship that you want to cultivate with the woman. So what you have to do is say what you want and say what you want early on. Now, I'm not saying to completely be overwhelming and say, I want a relationship with you and be too needy, because that's completely opposite. That's needy. But stand in your ground and be grounded as a man and completely verbalize exactly what it is that you want. If the girl's asking you, what are you looking for? Well, I'm not looking for casual friends with benefits. I'm not looking to be someone's friend. I'm looking to cultivate a relationship with a woman that I am interested in. So by the difference between you saying, I don't know, let's just see, let's just go with the flow. No, don't say that. That is not saying what you want. I don't know, because you're timid or you're shy to really acknowledge the point of what you want, or you might be a little bit timid because of the fact that maybe she isn't wanting the same thing. Well, guess what? If she doesn't want the same thing, then you're going to find out your answers earlier on than later on the road and save yourself from heartbreak. So call it. If you want something and if you're looking to have a good relationship with a woman, then tell that woman. It doesn't have to be her, but be confident and stay grounded and say exactly what you want and what you mean. Don't just be a man that's always fishing her compliments, always on her time, and don't be a man that's always giving her 100% of what she wants to hear. Men, this is not what a nice guy considering into relationship is entailed to. A nice guy is respectful, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, he is open and he doesn't always fish out 100% of compliments just in hopes that this woman will fall for him. He knows that if he gives her the right amount of compliments and stands back and waits for her to open up, that she's gonna come basically back and want more. Like I always say, it's like a tennis match. Keep on going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So don't be afraid to be brutally honest. If you don't like something, tell a girl that you don't like it. And also, if she tells you, like, do you like my outfit? I mean, you can definitely say, no, I've seen better on you. You know, even though it sounds crazy and sounds crazy to hear that, at the end of the day, you're being brutally honest and you're sticking out from a lot of other men that would just say, yes, I do like it, just to please her. You're not in this relationship to please her because you want to be pleased too. Tip number 2, have goals and put yourself first. Just like I said, get more comfortable with saying no than saying yes to everybody, especially if you're a people pleaser. If you have this people pleaser mentality where you want to say yes because that's what's make people happy and that's what make people like you, actually that has the opposite effect. So don't forget to always say no if it's not something that you really want to do. Let's just say that she's like, I want you to come with me to the mall with my girlfriends and go shopping, whatever. That's not something you want to do. So just tell her that you don't want to do it, and then to let you know when she's back, and maybe you can and you would like to get together later with her, or we can plan something else later on during the week. Say no and don't always give in, especially to something like that, because that strictly can be leading into a friend zone because you're too available. You're always there, which is going to allude to in the next following tips. But have goals and put them first. So for example, if you're part of a basketball team or a racquetball team or a ski team, whatever it is, make sure that you continue to focus on those goals. A lot of men drop all of their things of what they're doing in order to provide time and space for that woman. But what you men have to understand that are watching is the more that you provide time and space for a woman, and you're going out of your way on obvious reasons, meaning not spending time with your friends, not spending time with your family, or not committing to your goals anymore, this is the time where she may start losing respect for you. So that's why it's so important to stay strong, stay secure, stay grounded, and what you want and what are your goals. Hey, if you're part of a racquetball team and if you have a tournament or something, tell her to come along. You know, make adjustments, but simple adjustments where you can put her into your lifestyle and she can see your lifestyle too, but you're not always taking time away from your life to incorporate time into hers. Get it? Meet in the middle. Now, I'm not saying to not cancel plans here and there, but I'm not saying to do this all the time and being too available every waking minute that she asks. Tip number 3, stop always seeking approval. Typically, and most of us humans always look for validation in life, no matter what walk of life that we've been in. Let's be honest, validation feels pretty damn good, especially when someone likes you. It's like a pat on the back, like, I made it, I'm cool, I'm hot, I'm pretty nice, I'm pretty sexy, I'm pretty awesome, whatever, I can go on. But when we get into the mentality of seeking approval and getting validation from another, it can become addictive. And then once you become addictive, and the pattern continues to cycle. And what happens is you subconsciously ignore the fact that you're always trying to seek approval, but the other person can see this. Meaning you hold back your opinion because you're scared of what others are going to think. You're scared that maybe other people won't like you. Or the last one is maybe she won't like you for having your own opinion. Well, at the end of the day, a woman's gonna like you for having your own opinion because it shows a sense of confidence, it shows a sense of security, and it shows that you are a stable man and you're stable within yourself. You're secure within yourself. No woman wants to have a man around that is not secure with himself at the end of the day. Tip number 4. Face your fears and change your mindset. I talk about mindset so much. And when it comes to facing your fears, if you are the type of man that is watching this video right now and you don't ever really get out and face your fears and do something that scares you, like maybe let's just say, for example, public speaking scares you, because that's a big one. Involve yourself in like a program like Toastmasters. Challenge yourself to face your fears. What if you are scared of skiing? Hire someone to give you a ski lesson. Now, the reason why I say this is because when you start to challenge yourself and actually face your fears, obviously this is a growth and it leads into personal development, but also as a man, when you face your fears, you become more confident within. So you stop really slowly looking for validation for others, because as confidence comes from within, you stop seeking outside validation because something else is fulfilling within. So taking a step and actually taking the time to face your fears not only incorporates great behaviors for you, but also drives a lot of mystery for a woman. And she sees something in you that you're basically fearless. So at the end of the day, you are masculine. You're in your masculine energy, and a woman is looking at you like, wow, he's stepping up to the plate. He's doing what scares him. Like, he has no fear. And this is such a big turn on for us women. Tip number 5. When you're in conversation with a woman, think of it like this: slow down. There is no need for you to continue to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, because you're probably nervous, or you might be scared that she won't like you, or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, take your time, slow your roll, Go at your own pace and don't overly compensate for what you truly and who you truly are and what you're bringing to the table and what you offer. So stop having those limiting self-beliefs come into your head during the date or when you like a girl, and just slow down. Stop trying to overly complicate things by showing her too much love, showing her too much affection in the beginning, and let things slowly progress and actually leave some mystery behind what you're offering, because I can guarantee you she can't wait to find out. I'm going to actually give you the truth on the difference between that thing that woman says is, oh, I wish I can just find a nice guy. But then when you're on the internet and you hear all these things of nice guy syndrome and nice guys don't get results, which I have a video about, which I'll put up here in the cards of who is a nice guy that you would watch afterwards. But I'm gonna distinguish the two, the one that doesn't get results with women and the one that does, so stay tuned. All right, let's begin. So number one, let's start here on my little whiteboard. So I'm gonna put a little line down the middle, because I'm going to give you the difference of traits and attributes of what a lot of men do. So number one, a nice guy seeks approval all the time from others. Seeks approval from others. Okay? All right, let me go into this first. Number one is he seeks approval from others all the time. So a nice guy will seek approval from others, seek validation from women, and what this is subconsciously and actually consciously telling a person is my validation exists within you. So I don't have control of myself, my emotions, and you do. And so within that doesn't show confidence, right? Not at all. And this is why we don't get results in maybe our job or with women when we're dating, with our boss and so on. But a good guy, instead of seeking approval constantly, right? Instead of validating what seeking validation from others, what does he do? So instead of seeking approval from others, instead what a good guy does is he accepts himself. And I'm going to go into what this means. I think that when we accept ourselves, there's a fine line. I'm going to put just accept ourselves. And the difference here is because when a nice guy seeks approval from others, this basically means that he doesn't accept himself. But when a good guy, the difference on these two is he accepts himself. And so part of this means that he takes ownership in what he has experienced in his life. He doesn't look at himself and he doesn't compare himself to others. He doesn't think that he has no value. He doesn't think that he's not enough. Now, as humans, sometimes we can have these tendencies to kind of go back there, but inside he has a lot of dignity and self-worth for himself. So one of the reasons why good guys will get really good results with women is because he accepts himself and he carries that with confidence, and it comes off not only in his body language and his demeanor and how he represents himself, but it comes out in every avenue. That is just something that naturally happens and progresses in his dates and when he dates women. Number two. Now, a nice guy syndrome in regards to number two, he tries to hide his flaws. So he tries to hide his flaws, guys. Now, what does this mean? When a man tries to hide his flaws or someone tries to hide their flaws, it means that they're denying them their own selves, right? It means that they don't feel good enough. It means that they lack confidence. And it means that they have this probably little voice in their head that's saying that you're not enough. And if you deny your flaws, a woman's not going to like you. And, probably giving into this little devil on their shoulder saying, you're not enough and you're stupid and all this name calling. The way we talk to ourselves 9 out of 10 times for a lot of humans out here, we would never talk to our friend or best friend like that. The difference between this with a good guy is he owns his flaws. And so I want you to see how all these are going to intertwine between each other, okay? Now, this one doesn't. He hides his flaws, but he owns his flaws, meaning Maybe he's a horrible speller, because I am, but I own it because I know that I still get results. I still help coach. I'm still an amazing coach. I help so many men. We do this all day, every day. And why would I let that hold me back? Because that's something I can get better at and something that I have gotten better at. But I own it. I make jokes about it sometimes. And so a lot of times when a man is on a date with a woman, what he'll do is he'll own his flaws. Maybe like he gets really nervous instantly. What a nice guy will do is he'll try to hide his nervousness, but he'll still really tense and he doesn't communicate and he asks questions, and it's a Barbara Walters interview all of a sudden, and then the woman's not attracted to him. But instead, the good guy, what he does, because he's accepted himself, like number one, what he says is he just calls it out. He'll call it out and he'll emote and he'll say something like, "Ooh, you're pretty beautiful and you make me a little nervous, but definitely once we get over this hump, I won't be nervous anymore." And you guys just laugh. Or, oftentimes I don't get nervous, so this might be a good sign, right? So you make really fun comments about your own flaws in that moment, because this shows self-acceptance. Self-acceptance means confidence. Let's get into number 3. Number 3 is nice guys sacrifice their own personal power and worth. So this means that they self-isolate, they don't own who they are as a person. They live by every single one of their flaws, and they just perceive themselves as having all these flaws, and they feel like they will never get results with women, and they continue to stay stuck in that victim mentality, we might say, right? So they also serve as a victim. And so in our victim mentality, it's really hard to see our own ways that we show up, because victim mentality can make us feel so safe at times because of the fact that this can be comfortable, because we don't have to do the work. We don't have to put the magnifying glass on ourselves and say, what makes me feel empowered? What doesn't make me feel empowered? Why do I not have worth? Why do I not have confidence? Why do I not have self-esteem? Right? Why don't I own who I am? What am I doing? Am I comparing myself to other men? Do I have this limiting belief system? Was I bullied when I was younger and I still carry that with me? Have I worked through it with a therapist or a coach? A lot of us have inherited traumas in our lives, and a lot of times when we have these nice guy tendencies, it has a lot to do with how we were raised, brought up, and our experiences that we've had in romantic relationships and relationships in regards to our parents and family. So with a good guy, what a good guy does, the difference between here is obviously he owns his personal power and worth. So he owns his story, let's say. So he owns his story. Let me give you an example. There's this guy named Greg that I coached. Him and I probably had a couple sessions within 1 month, because he was like done. He wanted to get over this nice guy syndrome. This was his biggest thing right here, number 3. I remember when he came to me and he had no self-worth because he's been abused verbally by women in the past. He didn't have a relationship with his father, and his mother wanted him to be perfect, and it was always a perfectionist. And anytime he did something good, he wanted praise from her, but never really got it in the right way. And she always wanted more for him. And so after this, and after coaching, he's discovered what I'm telling you, but he also discovered how this was affecting his life. He was able to cross his T's and dot his I's. A lot of times when we go through experiences in life and our traumas, we continue to act from the same behaviors because we're not even aware of where these behaviors are coming from in the first place. So we can't make sense of them. So now Greg owns his story. Why? Because he was able to cross his T's and dot his I's. He's able to understand how he's been triggered, how he has his feelings arise in his body when he's triggered, what he does when he's triggered, and then being able to unwire those behaviors through coaching, through personal development, through journaling, through the work that we've given him. And now Greg actually reached out to me not too long ago, and he goes, "Apollonia, I was on a date with a woman recently, And me and her were getting in a deep conversation, and I finally got what she meant by owning her story. And I feel like she's highly attracted to me because we've gone out on 3 dates afterwards, and I think I like her, and so on. We might become a couple yet, but I'm still taking my time to know her. And what he told me, and he says, I just remember the conversation when she was asking me, she asked me a question like, what is something that I'm not so proud about? And he basically answered this, and he's like, I've never been able to answer it like this in my life, and I'm so surprised with what came out of my mouth. And he said, it's really hard for me to find something I wasn't proud of at this moment, not proud about, because I've done so much work in my life. And a man, if you would have asked me that to a man a year ago, I probably would definitely been able to have a laundry list of things. But he goes, one thing that I have discovered is I used to be a guy, and he was very open. I used to be a guy that was a people pleaser. I always said yes to everybody. I didn't know my values, my boundaries, and my worth. And it was something that I worked on. And now I have so much confidence, and I just own who I am. And I only hope so many men and women can do the same thing, because a lot of times this comes from trauma and XYZ. And he told me that woman was like, so taken back by that answer. Like after that, she became closer to him, sat by him. And the reason why they ended up kissing that night, and it was just like he noticed a shift in her when he opened up. There is a power when you're in front of a woman, especially a woman that is ready to show up and ready for a relationship and ready for a mature conversation. There is so much power in actually emoting within yourself in your story. Whatever that story may be, nobody has to know the details, but when ownership and vulnerability, right, is does that person have the right to share my story or to hear my story? And part of this is you can connect with someone on a deeper level, because nobody just wants someone who's boring and doesn't go through life challenges. It is attractive to see that someone says that they've had challenges and they've also been able to overcome them. Let's go into number 4. Number 4 is nice guys tend to disconnect or not have friendships with other men. So in this, I think that friendships with other men are so vital to a man's growth when it comes to dating, life, and relationships, just like it's so vital for women to have friends as women as well. There's a bond that you guys can share and learn from. And so often I see men that are these nice guys, they don't have a lot of friendships, they don't have a lot of male friends, and they tend to isolate themselves. The difference with this is a good guy obviously has male friendships, right? Has male friendships. And within those male friendships, he probably also has friendships that serve a purpose in their life. Make sure that you have friendships that are there to elevate you too at times. Have compassionate friendships. Have friendships that are trustworthy, meaningful friendships. You get out there, and if you don't have them, you're like, I'm on a mission to find some of them. I'll go to meetup groups. I'll go to walks. I'll do this. I'll do that. Whatever I got to do to meet people, I will do, because you know how effective this is in life. Now let's get into number 5 in regards to nice guy versus good guy. Number 5 is he denies his intent with women. This is a huge one. Now, what does this mean? What a nice guy typically does is he's okay with playing the friend card or just doing everything perfectly so this woman ends up liking him, or does everything for his boss, does everything for people in general, never says no, and hopes that these people will see him and love him and like him. Especially in the dating world, a lot of men will say, I just want to be friends, or go with it and be friends. And then all of a sudden, a month later, the girl starts dating or talking to someone else, and you confess in her true desires for you, your true desires for her. And so this is the card they play, because this is what we call the safe card, which is a form of manipulation as well. Nice guys actually really aren't nice, because when they don't get their way, they react because they hold so much emotion in. And so what happens here on number 5 is the difference here is good guys show proper and respectful, but proper intent, okay? So many times also too, when we have a nice guy that's really bad with emotional intelligence, or isn't really good on picking up on social cues, what will happen to you is the nice guy will think that showing intent means escalation. Like, he'll have a conversation, how are you today, and then just escalate right there, and you're like, woman's like, whoa, what sign did I give you that you can just be sexual with me? And they do, and they think escalation is just sexual, which is not. Escalation is not just sexual. Escalation can be in bantering and in flirting. And so a good guy will show proper intent. I have a bunch of videos about how to show intent, but also too, if you're really bad with showing intent and you're always getting in the friend zone, I would really encourage you to download my Friend Zone No More program. It's all about getting out of the friend zone. This Friend Zone No More program, you'll see tons of testimonials on here. It's over 2 hours of video content with me, and one of them is a bonus video of how properly to show intent and actually do this in your dating life with women. I'll put it below in the description box if this is something you want to check out. I would highly, highly, highly encourage it. We get so many men results to get out of the friend zone as well. So let's go into number 6. Not only does a nice guy deny his intent with women, but a nice guy actually also too dismisses his values. So what will happen is he'll probably get into relationships with women that use him. He will get into relationships with women that overspeak him, that are more masculine than him. Also too, he'll get into relationships with women who don't respect him. And so the difference with a good guy is he knows his values and he acts from them. So let me tell you something here. A good guy that knows his values will also deny a woman that doesn't align with his values. But a nice guy that dismisses his values will never be able to deny a woman in the first place, because his mindset thinks that he has to hide his flaws, he has to seek approval from others, he has to sacrifice his own personal worth, he has to disconnect from his friendships, and he has to deny intent, because if he's just the proper guy and he's so nice and he does everything for everybody, and then that woman is going to just fall in love with him like a Hollywood story, right? But that never exists. And so what ends up happening here is the good guy is living his best life, basically. Maybe he experiences dates that aren't the best every once in a while, but he's one step further to finding love. But here, the nice guy, what happens is, because he doesn't get results, what I see so much is anger happens. And anger that's pushed down, which is sometimes even scary, and that's why nice guys get very isolated and depressed, is because they push down the anger and they blame the other women or people. They have anger, they have blame, they have shame, and they have guilt. So, if this speaks to you, what I would really encourage you is not only to possibly book a session with us, one-on-one coaching session with me and my coaches, because this is something that we examine, we can help you through. But number 2 is I would really encourage you to get support system with other brotherhood community, a membership that I put in together where we have coaching calls weekly. We have 5 free programs for our members. We have discounts. We have so much in our membership community. We have a private Facebook community, and we have live calls and live sessions like you've seen here before, where I go in depth and I can coach you live, take your questions and answers, and me and my coaches put a lot into it. So I want you to become a part of our secret club, part of our brotherhood society, where you'll be able to make friends as well and get that support at a very, very low price. I'm going to put it below in the description box. Now, I want you to remember that not only am I going to be here to support you in the membership, but I want you to also watch the next video that I had in regards to who is a nice guy as well. In that, you'll be able to put these 2 videos together and really understand and take away and put some personal development work into your hands, so we can break free of getting that nice guy tendency and transforming it into the good guy, so you can get results in your dating life and with women, because that's what I want for you. I just want you to be happier, content, and loved and happy, and really get what you want and fulfill in a fulfilling life. And so I want to kind of distinguish the difference between the nice guy syndrome and an actual nice guy. For me, I would have never been with a man that wasn't a nice man. I would have never married a man that wasn't a nice man and had a lot of self-worth and self-esteem, of course. And so the difference between the two is the nice man that has self-esteem and self-worth knows how to also treat himself. So of course he knows how to treat a lady. But the nice man syndrome actually doesn't come from a lot of self-worth, comes from confusion, comes from lack. And this is where a lot of passive aggressive behavior will come from, a lot of desires and needs of your needs not being met will come from. And this is where you think nice guys are nice men, and nice guys don't manipulate. Yes, actually they do in their own way. And so I'm going to actually talk about this in the video to clear up some of that confusion, because women do want a nice man. Period. Especially a woman that is looking for something more in her life and can meet you at a great place where she is in her life, and the same goes vice versa, guys. So I think that a lot of times when men hear nice guy, they're like, oh, they get on each other for being this nice guy. And I'm just like, but we really do want a nice guy. So I want to break down what this means. So a lot of times when we get into this nice guy syndrome, what we don't want to do, and what I see a lot happening in this nice guy syndrome, is we do in order to get. So if I do this for her and if I give this to her, I will receive attention. I will receive love. And so with that said, when we're doing and giving and it doesn't actually work out in our favor, we get disappointed, we get humiliated, or we get so terrified of actually doing things the right way. And we get to a point where we're just exhausted. Because it's exhausting to have to give and have to do all the time and not get your way, because this is not the way human interaction really works. Think about it. Your job, your boss, or you are the boss, you hire your employees, or your boss hired you for a reason, right? Because they saw something in you in the first place. But if you start to overcompensate and you're not getting paid for the things that you do, and you're staying after work and just literally no appreciation, nothing is compensating for your time, and you're just feeling drained. And then you show up the next day and your boss gives you more work and doesn't even thank you for doing what you've done. Or how about an employee, right? We're giving so much to this employee because you see so much opportunity in them, but they don't even see it in themselves. It's exhausting, right? So the same thing happens in relationships as well. The reason why I break it down like that is it's important, because a lot of times people are like, oh, well, then if I do and I give and do this and do this and do this, that means it's not the right woman for me. There's no accountability, because this is literally human psychology. It's the way that we perform in life. But when we talk about it in dating relationships, we expect everything to be handed us on a silver platter, and nothing freaking takes work, which is a lie. And that's why I want to do more videos about this, because there's so many men that are great, good-looking, established, well-mannered men, but they lead with the nice guy syndrome in the wrong way. And I want to break this habit for you once and for all in this video today, and so on. And if this is your first time visiting, I welcome you to subscribe. My name is Apollonia Ponti. I'm a dating, relationship, and life coach, and I'm the founder of ApolloniaPonti.com, and I've coached over 5,000 men all over the world and literally maximized so much results with my community and gotten so many results with men. So I want to ask you something. Are you someone that always says it's really nice to do good for others? And so this actually dabbles in the relationships that you have with women. So your mindset is thinking, I'm going to do nice and give to others in order for them to appreciate me. So what you subconsciously have trained yourself to do is seek appreciation by what you put out there and how you give to others, instead of seeking appreciation within yourself. A lot of times when I talk to men that have actually haven't had this nice guy syndrome, they've come from a background where they didn't have a father figure that has actually inherited good established traits within himself. And it literally gets passed along in our childhood, right? So some forms that will happen is either it becomes abusive or it becomes on the other side where it becomes passive. And so we think that if we are generous with our feelings, our needs, our money, and we give and give and give early in relationships, we give our power away. In turn, we think that this is how relationships work. And so what's really important is that if we start to give our power away in these relationships, because if we don't even know what power we uphold within ourselves, of course we're easily going to give our power away. And so with that said, a lot of times I found that men with nice guy syndrome want to make people love them, instead of just seeing that people will love you for who you are when you show up for you and stand firm in what you do. And I'm going to tell you what to do in this video. But it's really important that I justify this for a second, because in order to make someone love you, literally, there's no definition for that. It's impossible to make someone love you, because they can love you, but in order for you to force love on someone, it won't be sustainable. So a lot of times what I've seen with my men is that they get into this nice guy mentality because they didn't have this strong masculine role that played in their father. And so what happens from there is they don't know how to be the strong, grounded man that you really aspire to be. Or maybe you weren't part of a really big brotherhood community of men. You didn't know what you were passionate about. You didn't live courageously. You didn't live in passion to see conversations and communication happen in your life. And so what happens a lot too with men when they grow up, especially when they don't have a strong father figure in their life, is they sometimes will give their power away to their mother. And here's the thing, and I want to be really clear. Of course, we're going to love and respect our mother, but we give our power away to our mother, meaning that we inherit the things that we want her to see within us. So we get into this, I want to be the best man possible for my mother because she's strong. So then we forget that it's really about intentionally, purposely living instead of intentionally teaching ourselves to have that brotherhood and the manhood. And the reason why I say this is because I see this so much in my community, in our memberships, in our VIP, and this is why it's so important for me to bring together a big brotherhood community for men, because of the fact that men don't have this sometimes growing up. And so what happens is we think that we need to be this nice guy in order to adopt opposite of bad boy behaviors or victim or abusive behaviors that we've seen in our parents and our upbringing. Make sense? So instead, we look at this as, I don't want to be my father. What I want to do is I want to be opposite of my father. So we go to the other extreme where we then become passive in nature. And we say to ourselves that we will be on our best behavior possible, and we won't push ourselves to make mistakes, to push ourselves out of our comfort zone, to explore. And so because we're not pushing, we stay stuck into this nice guy mentality. And so what I ask you to do is to look at, if this rings a bell, look at how your father raised you and just tell yourself he did the best that he could do. Because now it's up to you to change the lineage, let's just say, for your children and really for yourself. Because a lot of time, nice guys syndrome, they don't actually know how to attract a woman, especially a really good looking woman. Or you struggle standing up for yourself. You struggle with getting your needs met because you think that you are selfish if you ask for your needs to get met. So you're easily meant to really focus on people pleasing and getting those other people's needs met first. And so from there, you might avoid conflicts as well. And you're not probably justifying what it is that you want in your decision making, in your conversations, what your opinion is and what your voice is. So then your voice gets lost, and then it's kind of like, what is the essence of this person in front of me? When you start to date women and when you start to go out there and put yourself out there, you might even feel lost. Make sense? So what we want to make sure that we're doing is we want to understand where this is coming from. What are we avoiding? And then from there, a lot of times when we have this nice guy syndrome, we need to stop making other women and other people our emotional blanket. Because when we make someone else our emotional blanket and our center of happiness, then we aren't fulfilled within ourselves. So what person will find that desirable, right? Think about it. You want and you adapt and you magnify to people that have happiness and have something that you want or desire or you implement in your life as well and you find very attractive. So when we make our partner our own emotional blanket, what happens is then we give our power away, we give our control away, we give our desire away. And what's so important about this channel is there's so many times that men are hiding in their own power. They're scared to speak up. They're scared to get their needs met. They're scared because they don't know if they're going to be aggressive, like their father figure that they saw growing up or other things that they saw growing up. And so what happens is they depress their emotions. And there's a reason why this is so valuable in the work that I do. Because the suicide rate for men is 3.5 times higher than it is for women. And also substance abuse is also higher in men than it is in women as well. And literally there is a reason for this, and statistics don't lie. And so what's so important is to understand that men have a responsibility as well to hold other men accountable, to check in on their emotional stability, and actually not poke and make fun of men and put them down, but also help another brother out and lift him up. Because I can guarantee you that you've been through these same situations in your life, and you can't sit around being out alphaing other men and putting them down, because guess what? I'm sure you were there at one point of your life. And so what is so important about why I say that is because in this nice guy syndrome, there is a lot of depression that happens. There is a lot of thoughts that can go on where you seek addictions in other sources. And so a lot of men think, oh, nice guys, they're just boring. No. Actually, a lot of nice guys, they suppress emotions. So they turn to alcohol. They turn to pornography, right? And so it's not just about this nice guy. It's about what are we doing not to portray ourselves as a high value man and sticking up for ourselves and getting our own needs met and knowing who we are so we finally have that voice. And so when we suppress it long enough, it's really important for us to not continue to suppress it any longer. And this is why you're here with me now, because I want you to be part of this community. I want you to be part of our membership group where we have so many men that can help you and have this community. So one of the things that I ask you is to connect with other men. What's really important for men to do more than ever, especially if they didn't come from a really good upbringing from their own father, is connect with other men. And then 2 is find healthy role models. Right? Find healthy role models within yourself. And man, can I tell you, there is so much success that we have in our membership group with men literally becoming friends and hanging out. I get private messages on my DM with guys taking pictures of themselves that they met in the group and they're going out and having fun and they've learned from each other. I had 2 men that went through a divorce and went through deep depression and found each other in the Facebook group and actually became so they travel and they see each other and they go out, meet women. And guys, when we find healthy role models and we become a healthy role model, we also have a choice to pay that back. And so what's important is that we lift each other up in this. And so lastly, I want you to re-examine your relationships with your father. What are your relationships? How do you not let your voice be heard? Because a lot of times when women get in relationships with men that they don't like and they feel like, oh, I just lost the connection or I just lost the attraction, it's because there was too much responsibility that came with it. Yes, I said it. Too much responsibility came with it to be in charge of your emotions and to see your insecurities and to see a passive aggressive behavior. Literally, a guy showed me a text that he sent to his girlfriend, and his girlfriend posted something he posted something on social media that was directed at her, and she mentioned, I don't like what you posted. We just argued about this, and it's so wrong for you to say something like this because it's obvious that you meant it about what we were talking about. And he's like, LOL, I didn't even mean it like that. I didn't even think of it like that. That's passive aggressive behavior. You cannot lie and deny your needs and feelings and your insecurities and cover it up with that. And that's where we get shot down. Or, oh, I'm just not going to post anything then, he says. That's passive aggressive behavior. That's nice guy behavior. And when we're dismissing someone else's voice because your voice is being dismissed yourself. And so what I want you to do is I want you to list out 2 men in your life or people that you admire. And I want you to see what and write about what did you admire within them that you might not uphold within yourself. Because once we do this, we can fix all around this nice guy mentality, because nice guys don't finish last. They really don't. The ones with the syndrome finish last because of the fact that you're not putting yourself first. Let me be clear about this. Nice guys women want. Nice guys with integrity, nice guys with self-esteem, nice guys with worth. But what I want you to really do is I want you to self-examine yourself right now. And I want you to ask yourself, how am I not putting my needs first? How am I looking at conflict? A lot of times we don't deal with conflict, quote unquote, which I just think it's communication, because you find out so much about each other when you have a difference in opinion and you share it, when you question someone's motives or something that they said, or actually stick up for yourself and say you don't agree, right? And this is a very, very big thing. Is I would really encourage you to book a session with me or one of our coaches to help you with this, because finding your voice is literally a road that you have to walk, and it's pretty windy until you can go straight. Because if you've compressed your voice for, let's say, 35 years your whole life, 25 years your whole life, what makes you think that your voice is going to be directed in the right way the first time you use it, right? It's about learning how to use your voice again. And that's why coaching is so prominent for people, for men, for women in general, is because we can help you through these processes. And so with that said, another thing that I want you to understand is you need to focus on the difference between what you are adapting to in your masculine energy. Because I'm not too sure a lot of men know what the masculine brings to a relationship as well as a feminine. Now, I have masculine energy and feminine energy. A man has masculine energy as well as feminine energy. But how do you bring these two components together to a relationship where there will be induced energy together, where there is seduction, where there is attraction? And this is what's really important, is because if we have too much masculine energy and too much feminine energy, well, what will happen is we don't do a dance, and I want you to think of this as a slow dance that you're doing with your partner, with a girl that you like. And so the masculine component stands strong, stands firm in who they are and what they know. They're decisive. They have emotions as well. They have feelings. They don't avoid conflict. And they also don't look at conflict as though I have to fight with this person. It's about, let me find out more about this person. So when we look at it as let me find out more about this person, what ends up happening is it ends up giving us a deeper level of connection with that person, because then we can possibly get into deeper conversations with this person. And then you can stand firm by knowing more about this person and finding out a lot about you. That moment that you push yourself to have that type of communication that you've never had before, it feels so gratifying no matter how it goes, because you've did it in the first place. And then for a man to show up in his feminine also too, to nurture a woman, to be soft with a woman, right? To handhold with a woman, to tell her, nice gestures, and also to open up with a woman emotionally is a beautiful thing. So a lot of men ask me, Apollonia, but how am I, if I'm going to be a nice guy, I can't open up to a woman emotionally, which is a crock of what? Because the reason why men think this, which I understand, is because we've taught also men to, I don't say we because I never did, but people have taught men to suppress their emotions. And so What kind of humans are we if we don't have any emotion? I mean, that means that we're robots, really. And this is why we fall into deep depressions. This is why we turn to substance abuse. And so what happens here is I want you to understand that your emotional needs will always be met when you meet them first. Okay? And so in order to untangle this nice guy syndrome, let's recap what we need to do. We're going to reevaluate the situation that you've had with your upbringing and your father. We're going to find two men and get involved in a community that you have a brotherhood with. It can be my membership community. It can be a community outside of this, whatever it is. You're going to find, number 3, you're going to find two men, that you admire, and you're going to start hanging out with. And if you don't have two men that you admire, you're going to find two men that you do, or you're going to know people that are famous actors, poets, singers, whatever it is that you like, artists. You're going to write those down and tell yourself what are the traits that you like about them, right? And actually do that and actually compare yourself to those traits and see how you can get better with these traits. And 4, I want you to write down, how am I suppressing my needs, right? How am I suppressing my needs? And number 5 is, how am I not letting my voice be heard? Am I not sharing my opinion at work? Am I not sticking up for myself when they give me the wrong Starbucks coffee? Am I just taking it and saying, it's okay, I got it, and being convenience of others instead of a convenience for me? What if someone shows up late and you're there to pick them up for work and they're 15 minutes late, now you're late for work and you're like, oh, we're late, we gotta hurry up. No, listen, I'm 15 minutes late for work and I would have been here early. I would appreciate it if this doesn't happen again, or else I can't pick you up. How are we suppressing our needs? Those are examples. How are we hiding our voice? Those are examples, guys. And so now what I want you to do is, lastly, what are we giving to our relationships with women? In order to think that if I give money, if I give gifts, if I give emotion, if I give, and always serving as their emotional blanket, here's my emotional blanket, basically. How am I contributing to myself? So what are you giving that you're not giving to yourself? Because everything that you're giving to this woman, you need to start giving to yourself, and put that on timeout for a little bit if this is you. I believe, and out of all of my years of coaching, I believe a nice guy is a guy that I've seen who has an emotional belief that he is not okay with who he is. This can come from childhood or into his adult life. So as a result, he is trying to become what other people want him to be, or hide anything about him that he may feel shameful of or react negatively to. This can happen in his needs and in his sexuality. It's important to understand a nice guy is important to women and in relationships. But the definition of the nice guy syndrome comes from people pleasing and not having trusting relationships with themselves. And nice guy syndrome is basically a full-time job. So, number 1, he does not know who he is as a person. He hides things that might get a negative response, and he is trying to please everyone else around him and avoid all the confrontation. This is the guy that typically gets friend zoned right away because the polarity is something they struggle with. Nowadays, most women are in their masculine role so much that these men sometimes are too much in their feminine. Most women don't want to be in charge of the relationship, but want a man that is dominant, but not in a negative way, but understanding the balance to let a woman melt into her feminine side. Number 2, they don't speak with conviction. They don't lead assertively. Even the most masculine women, most of the time, want to be led. This starts with how you present yourself. Do you know that people make a first impression in a millisecond with their body language? Did you know that? 55%, I'm going to break this down for you first. 55% is body movement, 38% is tone of voice, and 7% is words. So you probably get scrambled with words. And did you know that it's not even about that? It's about how you present yourself. Always remember, a woman can't follow where a man can't lead. Now, leadership is not about do it my way or having any sort of dominance over the person. It's about having a plan and showing up with a sense of confidence about you, that you know where you're going and you invite the woman to come along. Date, life, and everything doesn't matter. Think of it like it's a salsa dance. You're not going to ask a woman at each step if she wants to spin. Does she want to do a crossbody move? Does she want to take a right step? No. A man will naturally just lead her. And if she likes the way he leads, she will continue to dance, relax, and follow. And if she does not like the way you lead, she can find another partner to dance with. But if you don't lead, you both stand there looking at each other, or she just takes the lead and steps into her masculine, and now you follow. Which one do you choose? You get it? Number 3, does not say no to things, and this emphasizes losing sight of your word. Gift giving, not spending time with your friends, forgetting your hobbies and goals, and falls into a routine. And you eventually feel like you're chasing because you've lost yourself. Number 4, you lose your honesty and transparency. Okay. Letting go of your boundaries, values, and standards, and letting things slide when someone is disrespecting you. You must stand up for yourself. Do not compromise your dignity, your pride, and your needs. Self-respect is important, and honor that. And I see so many people falling into this trap when they have this nice guy syndrome. And that's why I started this video with explaining what I think nice guy means, because it validates everything that I'm saying. Number 5 is they have a neediness towards sex. Understand that women have been through it when it comes to sex. And what I mean by that is looked at as sexual objects, which has not been the best experience for many of us. But if a man is setting the tone and leading, creating polarity, he never has to push a woman for sex. You will find that the woman will be the sexual aggressor with you if you do this right. If a woman is giving you the break, but not ready yet, and have your foot on the gas, and you have your foot on the gas to try to have sex with her, and you're pushing her, she will then push harder on the brake. Not only is it violating, but it makes her put the brake on. Setting the tone and leading and creating the polarity, inviting her to invite her feminine space, then this is the steps to get her open sexually. When a man can master this and not have any validation to the sex is significantly important, because all these years we've trained men wrong. Now, what I'm not saying here is that there's no sexual energy whatsoever, and you're just like, oh, we're going to excuse this, and we're just going to say that she's just not ready. No, this is when there's sexual energy. You guys have kissed. You guys, something has happened, and she's like, listen, I just want to take my time. I'm not ready yet. You don't push here. That's what I mean. Number 6 is investing more in relationships than others invest in you. This happens a lot of times with the nice guy syndrome. And let me stop right here, because I know where a lot of people are going with this, probably mentally. Women want a nice man, but the nice guy syndrome is a full-time job, like I said in this video. We don't want a nice man that is passive and doesn't have beliefs in himself and doesn't know his value and self-worth, because people as human behaviors, not even women, but people, we always want something we have to work for, and we always want something we value. So if you don't value yourself, how can someone else do this? So anyways, you're the one putting in all the work. Healthy relationships are built on mutual investment. Are you putting all the work are you putting in all the work, or are you calling all the time? Are you texting? And are you always just doing for them and nothing is really done for you? Number 7, you apologize for things that are not your fault. There is a significant gift that a man brings to a table in a relationship, and that is bliss. When you are grounded and passionate, it's all interconnected. And when you are healed and you have a sense of belonging, you become her safe place with zero attachment. It's literally a state of bliss. Men I want men to understand that there's so much value a man can bring to the table. Like, it's insane to a woman that is actually matched in your needs and values herself. We don't need other men putting our brothers down. I say this because I make videos like this all the time and I talk really openly about this stuff. And sometimes, most of the time, because I've created a safe place, men open up. Men tell me stories in their comments, or men are very open to saying, this video is great. But then there's men that are dogging out other men and saying, oh, you're so beta. Oh, you're this. You're just putting other men down. And this is one of the issues we're having in the society of our masculine. And that's why, as a woman, I've stepped into this space, is because I think it's so powerful for a woman to say to men, I see this. And we don't need other men putting other men down, because at the end of the day, when you're putting another man down, it's a direct reflection on you, and you're not turning against the internal work. Now, what's really important to understand too, when I say beta, and it's really important to understand when I say nice guy, we need to find a happy middle ground. A man that's too alpha can't keep a woman. A man that's too beta can't keep a woman. It's about understanding the two principles and blending them together, masculine and feminine. Again, a man that's too nice can't keep a woman, and a man that's too mean can't really keep a woman, and probably has destructive relationships if he does. But you got to put those together, and the same vice versa for a nice one. Got to put those together with a blend and find the foundational elements of what the positives in both of these are and put them together. And that's why I did this video for you. We are going to talk about something pretty fun. And it's what women find attractive in a man. And the tips that I'm going to give you today, or the traits that I'm going to give you today, are things that I know for sure myself, I have, interviewing thousands of women about this, and also kind of doing a little bit of investigation work when it comes to going out there and just chatting it up with women. So I've got the real good insides for you. But before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to this amazing channel full of dating and relationship advice for you men to get daily notifications of relationship or dating advice that you need. Now let's get started. Trait number 1 is women love leadership skills in a man with a busy life. Now, don't get this misconstrued with a busy life. He's too busy to even have a relationship, but he's busy enough to be firm on what times that he's available to fit you in, because at the end of the day, we do like being a priority, but we don't like being the first priority in the attraction phase. So we want to see you established, meaning you don't have to be the richest guy, even though so many men think that you have to be, and oh, shame on you. But anyways, leadership skills are so important because it shows that you are powerful, that you know what you're talking about, and then you go after and conquer what it is that you want. And when you have a busy schedule, this also shows that your life is of value to yourself. So you're painting this picture of what your life is incredible that you've built for yourself, and the woman is wanting to see more about this, and it's intriguing to us. Trait number 2. It's a little bit like number 1, but you're passionate about something. So you talk about your passions. Maybe you are golfing and you're in a golf tournament or a golf club or whatever it is, you do something. And in the winter times, you go skiing actively. What is it that you're passionate about? And they talk about it. Trait number 3, someone that might not even know that he's hot. Okay, so men, here is a little bit of inside details for you. If you play the card of I'm not even that hot, meaning not coming from a place of bashing yourself because you're not hot, you don't say this out loud, but you give off the vibe that it's not always about your looks. And at the end of the day, you don't put your looks first, and you don't put yourself on a pedestal, and you don't even know that you're really that hot. But ultimately, the girl that looking at you thinks you're pretty damn fine. Next is you're opinionated. Okay, so you have 2 different things that go on here, and I want to be clear about this. You are the type of man that is opinionated but not respectful. That's not what I mean. You're a man that is opinionated in your beliefs and maybe whatever it is that comes to fruition for whatever conversation is happening in that particular moment. But your dialogue and how you communicate your opinion is respectful of others. You're not always saying yes, and you tend to disagree or agree when the time feels right for you because you are holding yourself to a standard. Next is you take things slow. All right, women love when men take things slow. And the reason being is because it shows us that you're invested in trying to get to know us, but also it doesn't give us the red flags that you are going hot and heavy too soon, which I've made a video about, and I'll put that in my video card above if this is something that you dive into relationships and get hot and heavy very fast. But this is complete opposite, is you take time to get to know this woman. You plan out dates and you get her excited to see you, meaning you're busy all week, but Friday night is the time that you're going to be able to see each other because of the fact that you've made plans. And you focus on that and you pay attention and you take things slow because at the end of the day, you know that this woman has to prove herself to you in order so she can have you, and the same thing vice versa. Next, this is significant, and this was one of mine, is a decisive male. Someone that is decisive and knows what the plans are, meaning doesn't go back and forth with you and spends a lot of energy saying, no, what do you want to do? No, what do you want to do? No, what do you want to do? Instead, like I always say, especially in my ebook, The 7 Common Mistakes That Men Make, ebook that I've gotten, and I'll put it in the description box below, I always say to give a woman options. And I also talk about this in my online dating success manual for men, and I'll put that description in the box below. But this is something that is so important. And when you've come off as an indecisive male, then this is something that does not align to a woman, and she kind of can start thinking that you're a little flaky. So decisiveness shows a lot of power, and women are attracted to power. Next is you're stylish or you're just put together. You don't have to be the nicest fashion styled scent guy and you know fashion like one-on-one, but you do have to know a type of fashion trends that are going on and kind of align a style with who you are. I help you a lot, and if you follow me on my Instagram, I help you a lot with style. I give you ideas, I give you clues on what to do, and I change up style depending on your personality type. So I'm not always focused on one-minded style. I do a lot. So if that is something that interests you, don't forget to check me out on Instagram because that's what I do for you men. Next is they talk in a deep voice. Women love that deep voice. They don't love a man that is insecure in his words and is not confident on how he comes off. So when you do a deep voice, this means that you're confident in what you give off. Am I trying to do a deep voice? That was really awkward. Anyways, next is they have a little stubble where they can just grow out a little bit of a beard, and they find that pretty attractive. A lot of women find this attractive, and we call it, like the 5 o'clock shadow or something like that, I think it's called. So stubble is really, really nice if it's something that you can do. And if not, don't worry about it. You have other things that you can do. Next, this is my idea because I don't care who you are. If you have the cutest dog and I'm walking by you, you will be sure to know that I will come up to you and I will start chatting it up and talking to your dog and petting your dog and talking about you. And then all of a sudden I'm having a full-on conversation and I know your life story. That's just me. But at the end of the day, women love pets. They love dogs and they love cats. So it's so important, if you are an animal lover and you have the time, maybe it's time to invest in a dog, because especially if it's hard for you to meet women, and if you're an introvert, which I've done a video about, and I'll put that up there, how to approach a woman if you're an introvert. But this can really open up the avenue for a woman to approach you is by having a dog. Next, which is one of my personal favorites besides a dog, is you are smart and full of knowledge. Man, is there nothing bigger than a turn on than a man that I can learn from, that can give me mental stimulation, where I can go back and forth with him, where he gets what I'm saying, he understands what I'm saying, and at the end of the day, he challenges me to learn more. This is significant. And the way you can do this is just by research online. Online, we have everything at our fingertips, reading books, entering in classes, enrolling in workshops, whatever it is. That is so important, men. So if you have this, use it to your capability, because let me tell you, nerds are in. Next is he owns his lacks. Okay, so I had a client one time be so ashamed that he had gray hair, like salt and pepper hair, because he was only in his late 30s, and he said that he looked older. And I told him to send me a photo. Totally did not look older. It's all in your perspective, and it's about how you own it. So he used his gray hair as a lack quality when it was actually something pretty damn cool, because a lot of men don't experience this, and he could use this to his advantage. A lot of women don't look at that, and at the end of the day, it's pretty damn sexy. So bald, white hair, whatever it is, own it, because that's the true confidence that shines. Next is a pair of nice socks. You know when a man sits down and then his leg goes up and you see a pair of nice socks? Well, I mean, maybe not you guys, but we women do. I'm talking to you like if it's women, getting a little carried away with the socks, because you can tell how much that drives a woman. I am getting so caught up in this socks thing, but if your sock game is strong, then you've got something working for you. Next is your smell. Ooh. I talk about this so much in the attraction handbook that I've actually made. And smell is so important because it leaves a lasting impression, and it leaves a memory of you in this woman's mind for longer when you leave. It's so important. A next trait is your hands. Are they well polished? Are they too short nails? Are you biting them all the time? This is something that is so important. I talk about in my 2 weeks to get her now program, because of the fact that it can come off that you're nervous and fidgety if your nails are always being picked at and you're picking at them in front of her. So your hands are huge to women. At the end of the day, women do look at this. I know it sounds funny, but it's the truth. Next is an adventurous man. Like, what is it that you do? What is it adventurous about your life? You might have the suckiest job in the world, let's just be honest, but don't focus on that. What is it that you do outside of your sucky job? What is it that you like to do? Do you like to hike? Do you like to go snorkeling? Are you a deep diver? Do you like to go diving in the ocean? What is it that you like to do? Fishing, whatever it is, adventure of something is so attractive. And lastly, not only is confidence the big umbrella thing here, the umbrella answer of everything that women are attracted to, but also confidence comes with dignity. But the last but not least is a man that is respectful to himself, to her, and to everybody around him, meaning even that waiter that serves you that glass of wine. Let's get into number one. Number one, let me first paraphrase this just a little bit. Hear me out. You want to make sure that you start with a friendship with a woman. Friendship is the best foundation of a relationship. But don't go into this, oh, what do you mean? I need to be her friend. I'm going to get friend zone. I'm not talking about this friend zone, because I teach friend zone all the time and how to get out of it and so much more, and why men fall in here. But here's what I mean by this is, many times when we go into a courting or pursuing phase with a woman, I notice that men get so scared of being the friend, but yet focus so much on attracting her, getting her to like her, that they forget what they bring to the table, and they're not comfortable with the underlying foundation, which is friendship. Till this day, I love my husband because he is also my best friend in some ways or another. There's some things that are different with my girl best friends and with my guy best friend, which is my husband, but a best friend means that I'm supported with him. We can talk through things. I know at the end of the day, the friendship is also romantic friendship, and I'm supported through this. So when I say start with friendship, it's because you need to figure out also too, if this is a woman that you would want to date. You can still flirt with her. You can still, show your intent, but you also want to form a bond. Do you guys get along? Will you guys get along? Will you guys trust her, right? Because friendships are still relationships. So you have to evolve in your relationship in order to feel some sense of comfort and security. And that is through friendships, because romantic relationships, marriages comes in waves. And so when you don't have that strong bond and that foundation, that's what can break that up, and break that loyalty, break the respect and trust. The way people trust each other is because they formulate a good bond. What makes us formulate a good bond? Friendship, relationships, right? So this is what I mean by it. I'm not saying just go into it by being a friend only. I want to be very clear with this. Number 2 is be real and upfront with her. Honest even when it hurts. Now, there's a difference between being honest because you're trying to negate something from happening, or make something happen because you want it to be done, or it's for your selfish needs and desires. But being real and upfront and honest comes from having the boundaries when something is happening that you don't like. many times I've seen people become passive in relationships because they want to keep it even keel, and it continues to be a pattern. And so they deny their needs, and they also dismiss their partners on a subconscious level, and it doesn't form a bond. Because how can someone trust and respect someone if they're not even honest with themselves or them? So even speaking up and being honest from time to time when it has to be, it could be really hard conversations, but to be honest, this really builds trust in relationships and loyalty and respect, because your partner will know that if something is going wrong and if they don't like what they see in front of them, or something else has happened outside of the relationship, you will do your best to be honest and to push forward and confront that situation, because you want the best for your relationship, your family, your children, or whatever the case may be. Women in relationships want to feel safe, want to be with someone that is also going to not only be honest with them, but be real and assertive and be upfront about things that are needing to happen either in life, in the relationship, to give the woman direction. And the same should be vice versa for men and women and men. Number 3 is make your intentions clear to her. This would be more in the dating process and the pursuing process. Many times kind of going with 1. You have to do 1 and 3 hand in hand. This is what really relates to building trust and respect, is you can't just go in with the friendship card only when you're really ultimately wanting to be with this woman and you want to be with her. Because then you become in this nice guy syndrome that I talk about, and then you're denying your needs and you actually become very manipulative. Nice guys aren't really nice guys. They're very manipulative as well, because they're not clear with themselves, so they're not going to be clear with other people. So they're denying their intentions. They're not clear with her. And so what will happen is 4 months later, he has so many resentments towards her and anger, and all of a sudden he's like, well, I do all this for you. And she's like, wait, I just thought you were a friend. We never even did anything. And so this is where you have to make your intentions clear with a woman. You can develop a friendship, but make the intent clear. Call a date a date. Show her that you're interested in her. Show her that you're willing to invest in her by saying things like you're interested, commenting on the way maybe that she looks, flirting with her from time to time, taking her out on dates, pursuing her, talking about life and so much more, which I have plenty of videos on, and I'm not going to go into it here. But if you would like, I'll put one other one in the cards up here. Next, number 4 is be consistent with how you treat her. So women love to look at a man that is consistent. Women love especially when they're really interested in a man, the more consistent you are, the better. So a man of his word, it makes us more comfortable, especially a high quality woman, like a woman that really knows what she's after and what she wants from a man, and is also appreciative of what a man brings to the relationship. And the same goes vice versa for him. When a man is consistent, what happens is it shows her that you will know how to treat her. Shows her you'll know how to stir up for the family. It shows her how you're going to be a devoted, maybe long-term boyfriend or husband, whatever the case may be. And so consistency is one of the biggest things that actually thrives on attraction for a woman that is ready for a relationship. Number 5 is, listen, I get when you have to tell little white lies because you don't want her to worry. Yeah, my ankle doesn't hurt anymore. And you're like, oh my God, it's killing me, but I don't want her to worry, right? Those little lies, like I get, but obviously if something is going on with her health, we want our partner's help as much as possible. But here's the thing, it goes beyond that. What I'm saying is obviously you never want to lie in a relationship, because this is where respect 1000% gets diminished like that, and it's hard to gain. It takes a lot of time to gain respect back. Loyalty and trust is broken instantly when that happens. And so what's really important is number 5 and number 2 go hand in hand, because if you don't practice, if you're someone that's very passive and likes to keep things even keel and happy and not make people mad, you're actually disempowering yourself, number 1, but you're actually making 2 things harder on yourself, because eventually you'll make them even more mad because you became so passive and you ended up lying in little ways that you didn't even discover, or that you did because you're trying to make everything perfect. But yet when they find this all out, they get so upset at you, and then your response is, well, I was just trying to make you happy. That's just a dead end. And it's a dead end of trust, loyalty, and happiness and respect. So lying is one of the biggest reasons why so many relationships fail. And lying in ways where either you're trying to quote unquote protect your partner, but you need to be upfront with your partner. You have to understand that a woman and a person, not even a woman, gains respect for another person. A human gains respect for another person when they're willing to be honest with them, even if it's hard. Because now what you do to that other person is you give them a willingness to choose. And so when you give someone else a willingness to choose, they feel like they're not, quote unquote, being controlled, right? And so they can gain respect and trust for you because naturally, subconsciously, on a conscious level, we will look at this and say, wow, this person I can trust because he or she brought this to the table, and I am going to make the best decision for us or me. And now that person that just told me this, that was a hard discussion, not only can I see trust in them, but they're not trying to control or negate this relationship, and they trust that I'm going to make the best decision for this relationship. So it actually grows the bond a lot stronger. So passiveness actually is the worst thing that you can do in a relationship. Number 6 is be open to her. Just like a woman should be open to you. Many times I get men on the channel saying, why do you only give advice to men? Well, I'm only here for men. But if I was to give advice to a woman, I would say be open to a man. So the same thing as to you is be open to her. What openness means is like hearing her out, right? Women are very emotional creatures. I mean, women deal with emotions in different ways, but also too, like if she's having a hard day, if she's doing something wrong, yeah, you're going to be open with her. You're going to talk about it, but also to pick and choose the battles of those emotions that she's going through, right? So it's interesting. I was watching this reality show last night and I was like, ooh, that wasn't a good move for that girl. But her boyfriend was trying to resolve a conflict between her and her friends and try to put down the tone by just simply just going up to her and talking to her because they were all at a party and saying, you know, let's just say her name was Amber. Amber is a great girl, and I'm happy it's her birthday, and I just want you guys to be in good spirits together. I know she misses you as a friend, and I hope you guys can get there someday. He was just trying to tame down the water, and he ended up telling her, and she's like, "Why aren't you ever on my side? You always do this. You're so not what did she say? Oh, you're not faithful to me." And he's like, "What in the world? How am I not faithful to you?" When on the other hand, he's just trying to calm the waters in her best interest because he's just telling the other girl that, you know, that she really wants to mend the relationship and that she deserves the best and the friendship deserves the best. And the other girl agreed. But yet she was just so triggered in that moment and she came from emotions. Instead, she's like, "Well, I'm leaving my own birthday party." And he's like, "Fine." And he didn't say a word, right? So you have to sometimes be open to her emotions and hold the space, even when you know she's in the wrong. And the same goes vice versa, because on one of my videos, I had 21 best relationship tips. And one of them, this is where exactly what I mean by this, is where you're not perfect, she's not perfect, so be open to growing together, right? Relationships are not meant to be perfect, but it's about how and when you choose to show up and how the partner contributes and shows up and changes. And does she openly communicate? So then further on in the process, let's say a day or two later, they're able to talk about and she noticed her intentions and her actions and apologized, right? So this is where being open to her comes in. I hope that example helps. Number 7 is considerate. Be considerate of her, be considerate of others. This is in the beginning also too and forever in the relationship. Women gain respect for a man that is considerate about her family, about her friends, possibly about the things that she wants to accomplish in life, but also is not like one of those yes mans. What I mean is considers the outcome, the pros and the cons, and supports her through it. But the same should be for a woman. All of these things are the same thing you should ask for a woman to be for you as well if you're showing up for this. And I always say this in my videos. I want to talk about charisma. Charisma equals power plus presence, which gives you comfort, which gives women, I should say, comfort, right? So power and presence is part of charisma. And if we adapt to power and presence, we will have comfort. And when women have comfort with you as a man, they're more likely to call you. They're more likely to come back to you. They're more likely to be in a relationship with you. And they're more likely to see you as a man that they want instead of just another guy out there. And so I'm going to show you how to have this in this video. So make sure you keep watching. So let's talk about power. Power is somebody that can become adaptable and likable to any surroundings that you're in, really. And what's really important to understand here is that how you become adaptable is by understanding that everything, every notion that you get involved with, and some are out of our control, you can adapt to. And that comes in the power of your presence, which we're going to talk about as well. But power is understanding that nothing that comes your way will take effect on you emotionally, meaning like you won't give up that control. Doesn't mean that you can't be disappointed. It doesn't mean that you can't be sad, but how you react to it is really the power mechanism of this. Now, in order to really embody power, and this also comes not only with understanding how to adapt to your surroundings and be more likable, but really opening up the dynamic of just talking to people, right? If we don't talk to people and if we don't get out of our element much, then we're going to become in a fearful state constantly. So we need to control these mindsets if we have them, and we've adapted to lower mindset mentalities of just staying home, watching Netflix, and maybe just eating all day and just not doing anything with our time. What is the biggest thing here is how we become more adaptable to our surroundings is do things that are out of your comfort zone, right? A lot of men will do yoga, right? Yoga is really nice to do because you can get conscious with your breath. And a lot of men don't have that breath. They don't feel their breath for a moment. And that's where ego comes in. That's where anger comes in. And that's where we're vibrating very low when we're not vibrating high. But power is in just being able to take a breath and feeling it through. This is so important. And also to improving and doing things like acting classes or improv to get you out of your element. This by far is a game changer. I've done it myself and actually helped me with public speaking. I hate acting. I hate improv. Like I hate acting, not myself. Like it's the worst feeling ever. But let me tell you, it got me to get out of my comfort zone significantly. And I got better with just talking to random people, strangers in line, because I was very introverted growing up. And another thing too is kickboxing and martial arts helps. I know a lot of my clients, I have them do martial arts or kickboxing. This helps you embody confidence and a dynamic of your body, how you compose yourself, how you control your behaviors, how you stand, how you position yourself. And also practice power poses in the mirror. This is significant because power poses will also create the mindset for you to look at yourself and say, I am enough. I am powerful. And when we start to say this, we train our brain to create these emotions around it, which is good emotions, which is belief emotions. And then the last thing I want to say here is you uphold standards for yourself and you uphold standards for each other people, right? So you are powerful because people that you have relationships with know the principles that come with you, basically. So, for example, my friends, my close friends, they know for sure that if they're around me, we all respect each other. There's no nonsense of talking about each other's back, no cattiness, none of that. We are straight to the point with each other. And if we have something to discuss, we tell each other to face. This is something that I've embodied in all of my friendships. And I've had these discussions when things didn't go wrong, right? Excuse me. And things didn't go right. And this is really important that people around you know the standards that you uphold within yourself. So then they can have the basically blueprint of how to treat you. Then we go into presence. Presence is you get rid of any imposter syndrome here, right? Presence is about you. A lot of times I hear men saying like, she just couldn't connect with me. And I remember every time that I said I couldn't connect with a guy or I just didn't feel it. It was because number one, I deeply wasn't attracted to him because of the fact that he just wasn't my type of guy because of XYZ, if he was doing wrong in attraction and maybe it wasn't a good fit. Or number two was I did like him and I did find him good looking and I did like his life and his qualities, but there was something that was off about him. And that's kind of what made me stand back a little bit because it was a feeling I got. And typically this comes from men kind of not living 100% who they are and embodying who they are. And women can feel this, and I talk about that a lot. And so you want to get rid of any imposter syndrome. And what that comes with is you're trying to act like someone else, so you're not authentic. So the way that we can do this is become authentic, get rid of any perfectionism. You know, a lot of times when you thrive to be perfect, it doesn't let anybody actually relate to you. And that's the problem, is people can't relate to someone who is striving to be perfect because it's an illusion and it's something that nobody can meet a standard for. So you've also basically done something to yourself that it won't let people connect with you because you're striving to be perfect, and that's an illusion. And that comes from sometimes codependent behavior, which I have in my codependent product that I talk about. And also too, it also comes from childhood of, you know, maybe even being raised in an amazing household or in always having to uphold this composure of something. And then another thing is a comparison. I always say comparison is the root of all evil. And I always say comparison is the negative altercation of authenticity. Because when we compare ourselves to other people, we are comparing ourselves on a surface level. We don't know what people have been through in life. A lot of people have been through a lot of pain in order to become successful. A lot of people that are successful in life are the ones that had the courage to get up every day and do stuff that was uncomfortable and do things that were not the best feeling for them, but they knew that they had a message to spread, or they knew they had people that they can help, or they knew they had this amazing idea. And so in part of that is we need to understand that we have to reframe our thinking when it comes to our presence. Because if we think that we are XYZ and all these negative things here, like I'm not enough and she's not gonna like me, I'm too short, I'm balding, I have white hair. If we think of all this superficial, you know what? Then what's gonna happen is our dialogue, our framing, our presence of ourself is going to be negatively reflected onto that woman that we're talking to. And then over here, if we can practice compassion and we can have this thing called cognitive reframing, meaning we're cognitive enough to reframe our thinking, right? I'm not enough. No, actually, Brian, you are enough. You need to stop telling yourself that you're not enough, because that comes from this, and this. And now we're moving forward in life, and I'm going to prove that I am enough. I'm going to get this girl. I'm going to get this 10. I am going to get the girl that actually embodies happiness with me, and we build something together. I know I'm worth it, and I'm going to get it. Now we start retraining our mind. And then we come from compassion as well, because if we come from compassion, then we don't have room to judge. And judgment is only a mirror of our behaviors. When we judge someone, it's because we see something in them that we don't like in ourselves. So what's so important is presence is the ultimate conclusion of connection, guys. And this is how you become more charismatic and charming. You know, people out there is like, oh, say this one line, do this one thing. This will get you, this means you're a charming man. And it's about what you embody and who you are as a person. And this is not stuff that you can fake. This stuff takes work. And if you're willing to put in the work, you will get the result, trust me. And lastly, I want to talk about this is comfort comes into energy of what we're talking about right now. But the things that we don't want to forget about is in this approach, comfort is also in as a man from a woman's aspect and being pursued and seeing a man on the other side of it, and me liking a man or a woman liking a man is not only his great eye contact with us because he's present with us, but his idea to follow through. So he sticks to his word, and he's a man of his word, and he also follows through with it. So if you say you're going to plan a date on Friday, make sure you plan a date on Friday and not be skeptical and play these games and say, oh, I'm not going to call her because that means she's going to like me more. Don't wait 3 days to text a woman. Don't text her all the time, but don't think that there are specific rules, because you embody your own presence. You embody your own power. So power plus presence equals comfort, and charisma equals presence and power. Hi guys, and thank you for watching. Hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so you're notified every time I post a new video. And also here I have a next video for you to watch all about attraction, dating, and to have a better relationship in regards to your dating life and attraction skills for you to master the art of attraction and get the woman that you desire. I'll see you in the next video, and remember, you are always loved. Bye for now.